In this video, I'm going to talk about some basic commands available within PowerShell, and specifically, I'll be covering Windows PowerShell. So I'll be using Windows PowerShell shell, say 64-bit, and then I'll start executing all those commands. So these are some of the basic commands which you may need to know before you even start the PowerShell journey. Now, as PowerShell has a comprehensive list of commands, I may not be able to cover all of the command within this video, but I'll try to pick and choose some command which may help you get started within the PowerShell application. Now, as you see over here in the screen, the first important command within PowerShell is a get-help. Now, it prints the documentation on the screen. So this is the most important command because this will help you understand what all PowerShell commands are available based on the version of PowerShell installed within your operating system. Now, start dash transcript. Now, this is also an important command which may or may not be helpful for many of the audiences, but then it is a most useful command when it comes to development. So, if you are a heavy PowerShell user, then make sure that you run this command at the start of PowerShell command execution, and then you stop the transcript generation so that you have a record of all or part of a PowerShell session to a text file. Now, why this is important? Because it will list down all the command which you have executed along with the result. Okay. Now, get dash command lists all the available command within your PowerShell. This is also a useful utility because if you want to explore some more commands with more depth, like if you want to understand what kind of parameters or the keys which that command accepts, then it is a useful command to get all the available commands within the PowerShell. Get service again list down all the services within running within your PC or laptop or desktop or a server. Get alias, it displays the command name for a specific alias. Now alias is basically like another representation for your command, so I'd say it's kind of a short form, for the command. Now I'll go through this get alias command uh, in my upcoming videos, but I'll try to just touch the surface of get dash alias within this video. Now, get dash help. I have just mentioned it twice over here. Now it provides guidance on how to use PowerShell command. Now we have already covered over here get dash help. It's the same thing. It's just a repeat text over here. I have purposefully kept it over here with a different description because you need to know this command get dash help, because as a command line user many times we get confused with that all the different command line utilities available within the operating system or a third party utility, whereby if you want to understand the help we either put dash dash help or dash h or slash question mark and all other things, but then in PowerShell you need to use get dash help. Okay, and that's why I've just written it again so that it is useful for you guys to make use of this command. Then you have get process, stop process. It lists the process in the system. Stop process stops the running processes within your computer or a server. Get PS drive gets the PowerShell drive in the current session, which I'm going to cover this in this video. And then the various writing tools like write output, write host, error, warning, write debug, write verbose. It has a different purpose. Okay, there is a subtle difference between various console output procedures. Error warning writes text in error and warning format. Debug and verbose is mainly used for debugging purposes. Verbose writes text to the verbose message stream. Write output brings strings to the standard output, and the host writes text to the console. Stop process, get process will list all the running processes, and stop process will stop the current process. Then there is an invoke dash web request. It gets the content from the web page on the internet. Now this is also an interesting uh, command which will help you do a lot of things. It will help you to connect to a different API hosted in some external system. Now, this is a very powerful command and it can be misused as well. So make sure that invoke dash web request is handled correctly. when you use your PowerShell script. Select dash string finds the text in strings and files. IEX is invokes an expression. Again, IEX is also a powerful tool. It can execute expression. It can execute various command. It can execute PowerShell script, which is available within your hard drive. So make sure that when you run this command, take some extra precautions. So IEX and invoke dash web request. Make sure that when it is calling an external entity, the external entity is trusted. You know what command are you executing, because this might do a whole lot of fancy command execution, which may create a problem within your code base. So that's it for theoretical part. Let's jump into the practical aspect of it. So again, there are a couple of things which I want to show you. Invoked as expression. Now uh, Microsoft has given a nice documentation. Have a look into all the documentation provided by Microsoft with regards to invoke expression. They have given four different examples. So have a look into that. Then set execution policy. Now this set execution policy is a module from Microsoft.PowerShell.security. Okay. Now before you even run your PowerShell, you need to make sure that the PowerShell execution policy is properly set for your Windows computer. Now there are various options. Now I would prefer that if you set the execution policy as remote signed and the scope as local machine, then you will be able to execute most of the commands within PowerShell. Okay, so to start with that, let's start the PowerShell journey. So I have this PowerShell, and Windows PowerShell IEC. This is the 64-bit version. This is the 32-bit version, and this is the 64-bit version. So let me run this, and make sure that when you go into more, you run as administrator. Okay. Now my Windows PowerShell will give you that user access control, and if I say yes, then it will be presented in this command. It says administrator colon Windows PowerShell. Now I'm in Windows PowerShell, so let me go into the correct directory. So my directory is cd Girish. So this is my directory, and I'll just do a clear screen. Okay. Now let me first show you what the execution policy is set for my PC. Okay, so if I say get execution policy, then I say remote signed. Now what I've done is, like, I just typed get dash e and then I tapped it. Okay, then it will list down all the commands which is available within your Windows PowerShell. Okay, so if you put some more text, then you will be precisely uh, put into that particular command uh, in the Windows PowerShell. So get execution policy list down remote signed. Now if I want to see the complete list, then it will give you the scope, execution policy, machine policy, user policy, process, current user, local machine, remote signed. So you can get the list of the execution policy. Now this is the first step you need to do. If it is not set, then you can use this command set execution policy and then set it to remote signed. Okay. Now as I've already said, I'm not going to do that. Let me first to show you one thing. Now if I type in start dash transcript, okay, now I'm not executing this command. Let me show you the directory over here. I think this one. Yeah. So let me show you this directory. Okay, so this is the directory. Maybe I'll just say small icon and then preview pane. I turn off the preview pane. So this is the directory basically. Now here I don't have any file created with regards to transcript. Okay, so now if I just minimize this as well, just to show you what happens when you do a start dash transcript. Okay, now here when I do a start dash transcript, and this is the first important step you need to do before you even run any of the PowerShell scripts, so that you have a trace of what you are doing. So if I do that, then you will see one file gets created over here. Okay, so this is that PowerShell transcript file. Now let me open this file, and it will have the information. Okay, now I'll just close this file. Okay, and let me do a CLS. So it will give you the path where it is located. So I've just opened the path well before the PowerShell script which get executed. Now let me do a clear screen. Okay, now we have started the transcript. Okay, now remember, when we are done with it, we will put this command stop dash transcript, which I'm not going to run it now because we just want to see the history, okay, of the command which you execute. Now, the first thing, if we want to know the version number, then we have ps version table dot ps version. Okay, so this is the command to see the version number of your PowerShell. Now, if we just put PS version table, then you will see a whole other bit of information like the PS edition, the compatible version, the build version, the CLR version, and serialization version. Okay, so let me maximize the screen. Yeah, then if and the basic command if you want to write some output on the screen. Okay, so if I put a write dash output and say Girish, okay, then it will output the text on your console. Okay, that's write dash output. Now write dash host, and maybe I'll just put test. It will write that output to a host file. Okay, now host, basically the host is like the console. Okay, now there is a subtle difference between output and host. Okay, now with write dash host you can do a whole bunch of other things. So there is a concept of chaining involved in it. Now I'm not going to explain you now. Let me just first write down all the commands and then I'll try to explain the difference between all these different write methods. Now we have another write method called as write dash error. So if you want to write some error onto the screen, uh, so this will write this in an error format. So it is black background, red text, and then it will show you some sort of an error. Okay. Now, if I say write dash warning, it will give me a warning kind of an interface in my PowerShell application. Okay. And then there is another called as something called as write dash verbose. Okay. So if I put write dash verbose, it will do nothing. Okay, so write dash verbose, when I type write dash verbose and the text, the screen hasn't given me any output. Okay, now I'll explain you all those things. Now why it has not come, because the verbose preference is not set. Now there is a variable which is called as verbose preference. So in PowerShell you write a variable using dollar sign. So let me see if the intelligence picked that up. Yes, right, verbose preference. Now, if you want to see what is the verbose preference, it says silently continue. Okay. Now, if I set this verbose preference to continue, and now if I type in write dash verbose command, okay, then it will list down the output. Okay. So let me again set back the verbose preference to silently continue. Okay, and then again I'll type the verbose command and then it will not show the output on the screen. So there are like subtle difference between verbose, errors, warnings, output, host. I'll try to cover that in one separate video, but for this video we'll just move ahead now. Now we have something called as a variable. Okay, now we can set a variable in PowerShell using, say, if my variable is a, okay, and if I put some output, say Girish. Okay, now the variable a contains Girish as a string. Okay. Now if you want to extract the variable, okay, get dash variable and just put a, not the dollar sign. Okay. It will list down, this is the name a, and the value is Girish. Okay. So what we have done, we have created a variable a, and we have now taking the asking what is that variable value contains, and it gives you the list of variable. Now we can also do one thing. We can say write another variable, and let me call this as well. Okay, and let me do something now. Remember we were talking about write dash output and write dash host. Okay, now if I say $b equal to pull and write dash host, okay, it writes down, right? Now again if I say write dash output, now it doesn't write, right? Now that's the difference. So the chaining command is applicable for write dash host. For write dash output, it doesn't do anything. So you can't do a chaining kind of a thing. Now what this pipe sign indicates is like we're chaining these commands. Okay. Uh, and then again, if you want to see the variable, we can say get variable b, and it will list down the value of the variable. Now, let me clear the screen. Now we did get dash variable and provided the variable name, but what if we don't provide the parameter? Then what happens? It will list on all the variables available within Microsoft PowerShell. Now here, all these variables are listed over here. Now the there is a variable named as dollar, question mark, args, error view. So these are all system level variable. Now remember, just a minute back we have set some value to get the verbose preference. Okay, now that verbose preference is also one of the variable, and that's what it is silently continue. So we have made use of the system level variable to set the preference for write dash verbose. So like that you will find whole bunch of things over here. So let me clear the screen now. And the next one, which I want to show you, is get dash process. So this will list on all the process available within your operating system, and it will be a huge list. There's a SVC host, there is an IE edge, there is a video service which is currently running, there is a Win log on. So you will see a whole bunch of services which is running along with the handles, CPUs, IDs, and the process names. Let's run one this command like called as get dash alias and maybe CLS. What do we mean by CLS? So CLS means clear host. Okay, so it will give you the alias expansion. So the command type of that particular alias is clear host. Okay, now if you want to list on all the aliases for all the commands within PowerShell, just run this command. Now remember, this command is bit overwhelming. So if you type get dash alias, it will list on all the commands which is available within your PowerShell. Now some of the command which you can see over here, where means where object, wget means invoke web request, si is set item, sc is set content, and so on and so forth. Okay, start means start dash process. So if you put start and start dash process, it is one and the same thing. If you put sv and set dash variable, it is one and the same thing. So that's it's what is all about alias. Now we have typed in whole bunch of commands. If you want to see what all things we have typed in so far, just type in get dash history. It will list on all the commands which we have executed so far. So here you will see all the commands which has been executed, right? And remember, we have already started the transcript, so transcript will also have all the command which we have typed in. Okay, now then if you want to use this command, this is the command which is used mostly by developers. If I say throw, so throw means it will basically throw an exception. Okay, now this is mainly used for development purpose. I'm not going to go into much depth, but you should know that there is a command called as throw. Okay, now this command which I told you is a very important command, invoke dash web request, whereby you can call a say web page. Okay, and then it will output the format what is requested. So if I type in girishupal.com, that's my website, it will list down it will send you uh, it will output basically the HTML. Okay, so if you see here, it has given the raw content length as 22512, HTML content, HTML document class. These are the set of links which is available within the application. Input fields, images, what kind of raw content it has, status code. Okay, so if you want to query a website or any other web page, you can use this command. Okay, invoke dash web request, but make sure that the target application is safe enough for you to execute that command. Then invoke expression, IEX. Now IEX is an invoke expression. Now if I want to do a simple calculation, say 20 plus 6, I put it in a bracket, it will give me the output. Now the calculation can go into very complicated way as well. So if I put in something like this, it should do that math, math for you, invoke expression. Now, there are other things you can do using invoke expression. This is just a simple example. I'll try to cover that in some other future video, but then for here, this is what it is. Now, I can even write some command. Okay, so if I write a function, okay, if I write a function, let's say Girish dash sum, okay, and I'll take the variable $a comma $b, okay, and let me use something else. Let me call it as a1 $a1 comma $b1. Okay, now this is Girish sum. Okay, and then I will put a bracket, and then I'll say the output should be $a1 plus $b1. Okay, so this is the function basically, Girish dash sum. Okay, and now we have basically created a command, okay, in PowerShell. So the command is basically this command. So Girish dash sum. Okay, and if you put a parameter, now the parameter is a1. Okay, so a1, if I put as 34, okay, and if I put the parameter b1 as 26, see the output. It's giving me output correctly. So we have written a function in PowerShell. Now this function will exist, okay, and wherever I do get that sum and give two parameters, it will technically sum that out. So this logic can be anything. Okay, so we have written a powerful function in PowerShell. Okay, now that's all about PowerShell. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to stop the transcript which we have created a while back. Okay, so if I stop the transcript, it will tell me that, oh, the transcript file is now created. Let's jump into the transcript file and see the output. Now this is the transcript file which we have created. Now here it's the output. Now it lists down all the commands which we have started, okay, along with the output. Okay, so if you see here, we have executed this get dash variable, and that's the output which is generated out of it. And we ran a whole bunch of command, and then at the end we wrote one function, and that function has Girish that sum and takes two parameters. So everything which you have written is captured in the transcript. So it's a nice way to have some sort of a transcript created for all your development applications, so that you know exactly what all commands you have executed. So that's it, folks. This is all about PowerShell commands. I'll see you in my next video. Thanks for watching.